Scar, you are going to look over, Michigan along with their little brother, Ohio State, reside in the East, which is a powerhouse along with Penn State. But the Big Ten West is, they've added some coaches, and they look like they might be a little bit more formidable. You told me that you were going to pick the Big Ten West. So without further ado, let's pick the Big Ten West. Scar, let's start it out at the bottom. Your number 7 team in the Big Ten West.
I don't think Northwestern's they play Penn State. The big thing about these predictions, and I know being a former coach, you look at that schedule, man, who's got the Buckeyes and who's got the Wolverines. That's what you're looking at. And then who's got Indiana and who's got Rutgers on their crossovers. I mean, that's huge, huge. But before I go into this, Denny, real quick, last year, you remember old Scar picked Purdue to win the Big Ten West. And one of the big reasons I picked them was because of their crossover schedule. So, and I also said Illinois would be the most improved team. I think I was right on both of those. So if I would have put some money in, like a dummy, I didn't do it. But I just don't know what's going on in Evanston. Coach Fitzgerald, I got Northwestern as the bottom again until they prove something, because they've been normally he gets it going. Might have a bad year and gets it going the following year, but he gets Penn State in the crossover with Rutgers and Maryland. Maryland's a good team. So I got Northwestern on the bottom. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Not a lot of faith right now.
I'll be rooting for their transfer punt returner and wide receiver, A.J. Henning.
That's right. They did pick up they Denny, I really think Northwestern, I think they are at a disadvantage with transfers, because I think they have a real difficult time bringing kids in, maybe even more so than Michigan. So that's one of the things that makes things difficult for them. They got to be grad transfers. I think Henning already graduated. The number 6 team I have, Denny, is Purdue. And a big reason they play Michigan and Ohio State in the crossover. Jeff Brom was an outstanding offensive coach. The guy who's the new coach was the defensive coordinator at Illinois, who was really good on defense. The guy's been around. He was at Missouri. But I don't know if they're going to get the kind of quarterback and offensive play that Jeff Brom had. He's going to have a new quarterback. But the big thing is they got those 2 tough crossovers, Michigan and Ohio State. They're number 6. My number 5 team. Go ahead. You want to comment?
I wouldn't mind making a comment as you go through there. Ryan Walters is one of the youngest
Walters
in the country, 37 years old now. He's the new head coach at Purdue. All right, go ahead. Let's go to number 5.
And number 5 is Nebraska. I don't see the talent. They got to do a better job recruiting. They got the quarterback. I've talked about him. They scare me because of the quarterback, but he's got Michigan State, Maryland, and Michigan. So in the crossovers, I just see them as a team that they got to recruit better. Front 7 players. They're just small. They're not big, thick, strong, tough enough. He's got to get better players, bigger, better, stronger. So that's number 5. The 4th team I have is Minnesota. And the big reason, again, for them, they got Michigan and Ohio State in the crossover. I think P.J. Fleck is a real good coach. If he didn't have such a tough the 2 tough guys in the crossover, I'd have them higher. And I said that's going to be our toughest of our first 6 games. Minnesota and P.J. Fleck has that program trajectory continuing to move. It's a tough grind there, but he's the only school in the state. But I think he's getting better. But he's got the 2 tough crossovers.
Yeah, 7th year as the head coach of the Gophers after being at Western Michigan for P.J. Fleck. And I'm a big fan of his hairstyle and the way he runs his program. I think that Minnesota will win the Big Ten West. So you and I are going to be different on that one. All right, let's get to the top 3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they could win. They could win their league games, but again, those 2 crossovers are going to be tough. My top 3. I really had a tough time figuring them out because they got similar qualities. Their scheduling non-league is the crossover is not that tough. But I got Iowa at 3. He's only got Penn State on the road. He's got Michigan State and Rutgers. You know, you got Cade there as the quarterback and Alls, and they're saying they're going to make some tweaks to that offensive philosophy. We'll see it. I believe they are, though. I think you're going to see them be more like the rest of the Big Ten. Maybe not so much fullback.
Wait, but, you're saying they're going to like throw the ball down the field and stuff?
Well, just doing some of the things that everybody else is doing, not so much, the
forward pass. Forward pass. All right.
Yeah, well, they tried to throw it. They just didn't do things that gave you a lot of trouble at times. They just were, some of the stuff is easy schematically to defend, but they got a good quarterback. They always play good defense, and it's tough to win there. So I got them at 3. I got Wisconsin at 2. Now they get Ohio State, but they got Indiana and Rutgers as crossovers. And he brought in some good. He brought in a couple good transfer quarterbacks. I got them as the second team, and I got Illinois as the top team. Brett Bielema, what he did last year. He's got that big defensive lineman back. He got a quarterback that come in from Ole Miss. And Brett Bielema is just a darn good coach. He's got Penn State and Maryland and Indiana in the crossover. So that is my prediction. Which team there will be the most improved? I might say Iowa. Iowa might be the most improved, Iowa or Wisconsin, because I think you're going to see change. Well, obviously we're going to see a change with Wisconsin offensively, schematically. Well, both sides of the ball. I mean, Fickle is going to run it. They're doing different things there now than what they've done for a long time there. So, but yeah, Illinois, Brett Bielema, he's a good coach. They gave us trouble last year. He's got them playing physical. They play physical. They play smart, and he had good quarterback play at Illinois last year. Is he going to hit the jackpot again with this transfer, Denny? That's kind of big for them.
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of Bielema as you and others. Into his third year here, former nose guard at Iowa, Wisconsin, and Arkansas. I think he's a little bit of a fraud, but I don't think Illinois. They're playing pretty good defense, but I don't see them being up there at the top. I do think that when you look at the West, Matt Rule and Luke Fickell, I mean, these are two of the top coaches, not just in the Big Ten, in the country. I don't know how long it's going to take them. Usually a couple of years, but I mean the Big Ten West, and after this year, I don't think there is going to be a Big Ten West. I think both of those teams, you put an up arrow. We already talked about Fickell there, and I think Pat Fitzgerald's a great coach. So a lot of great coach, a lot of good coaches, and a great coach over there.
There's not a stiff in that division. You got to recruit, and who's coming up with a better scheme week in, week out. But you got to recruit, man. And who can bring in transfers too. So it's tough.
You are right about that. Well, we're going to talk about another Big Ten team. We're going to take it from west to east. First, I want to tell everyone, Scar had all the information about Wallace and Akamwa, the transfer from Tennessee to Michigan, and then UMass to Michigan on the football side. You want to know about the transfer portal, the very latest, when it happens. Well, join up with the Maize and Blue Review today by going to michigan.rivals.com. You'll know about what's going on with the transfer portal. You want to know about this big weekend and what's going on with the recruits that are coming in and what they're saying and, who's going where and what. All the latest on the Maize and Blue Review. Go there today, michigan.rivals.com, and that does get us to the Scarlet Knights, which you're going to talk about. Rutgers, who Michigan, they trailed last year in Piscataway, Scar. If you remember, I think 17-14 before they ripped off 38 unanswered in the second half and won that game going away. But what about Greg Schiano's team?
Guy's a real good coach, man. He's a good coach, and they made some mistakes there. But you're right. It was a tough game for a while. It was 2 years in a row, 2 years in Ann Arbor, 2 years ago in Ann Arbor, it was a battle. The guy, they don't have enough great players. We're out recruiting them, okay? But they're good. They're a good team. They're a well-coached football team. You better be ready to play when you play these guys. You better have a good scheme. Michigan's coaches have a slight advantage over them, because we got better players, but you better be ready to go. Anyway, what I'm seeing is they got a quarterback. They got a couple quarterbacks that can run and move, and he's not. See, the difference between playing a team like Rutgers and then when we play Rutgers, we will be reluctant to run our quarterback as much as they will, because we just don't want to have Jay. And this is my opinion, and I think if I'm coaching Michigan, I don't want to run JJ any more than I really have to against a team like Rutgers. Okay, I want him playing against Michigan State, Penn State, the Buckeye. I want him finishing the year, so I'm going to be reluctant to do some of the RPO stuff where he's keeping the football, potentially taking hits. But they got guys that can run at quarterback, and he's not going to care. So that's what they have, is they got quarterbacks that can run. I think their offensive line coach is good. I watched their spring game just this morning because I taped it. I think they're well coached at the offensive line. They got this Kirk Soraka. He's been around. I think he was at Penn State. The guy's been around. He's a good offensive line. Their offensive line is well coached. They just don't have as many guys that could. They might have one guy on their offense that could start for Michigan. Tight ends, offensive line, the whole deal. So we got better players, but you better be ready to play against them. So what else do I have here? Their offensive line is well coached. One or two players. I think they're tough and they're good and well coached. Their defense, I looked at their defense, Danny. He was always a 4-3 guy with the tilt nose. We only saw that once a year, the things he did schematically. I watched their spring game. He's looking like he's running Michigan stuff. He's running with our look, a 3-4 look at times, a 2-4 look. So I was really it was interesting looking at that. I think maybe Greg Schiano might be changing some things schematically, defensively, but that's a game that if we are ready, secure the football, got a good scheme, a game we should win at home. It'll be after those 3 non-league games, but you better not take these guys lightly, and we sure as hell won't. But you got to play, man. They're not clowns. The coach is good. But it's a game we should win.
Yeah, I'm with you. And if I was a college football coach in football now, I would be looking at going to a 3-4 as well. And I don't think Michigan needs to look very far in terms of trying to take Rutgers lightly. Like I said, Scarlet Knights had the lead on Michigan at the half last year. And then 2 years ago, Michigan was shut out in the second half and had to hang out with a big defensive stop late against Rutgers. And U of M in that game, they ran the ball left and right with no success. They had 4 3-and-outs in the second half against the Scarlet Knights. I mean, the fans were ready to start booing. They hung on, won the game.
I remember it, man. We couldn't. And that was that defensive scheme that he ran. We don't see it much, and we had a hard time moving the ball against them. Now, sometimes a coach will make a decision like that for a lot of reasons, but it'll help their off. Maybe they feel they're seeing it a lot, that kind of scheme. He likes the advantages that it gives you, like it's given Michigan. It'll help his offense because they see it now in spring and they see it in camp going against the stuff that Michigan runs. So, but it'll hurt them when they play Michigan because we'll be familiar with that kind of a defense.